And welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be doing a little 24-hour readathon vlog, which I'm so excited about. So today it is currently Friday the 13th in September. Last year there was a Friday the 13th in October, and I did a 24-hour readathon for that. And I figured September is, close enough to a Friday the 13th in October, so I figured why not do another 24-hour readathon vlog for it, where I read spooky, thriller, mystery type of books. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. I just think it's gonna be really fun, really chill, so I hope you guys are excited too. So let me quickly go through my TBR for the next 24 hours. I'm aiming to finish 4 books. I don't know if that's really gonna happen or not, because my plan is to not stay up all night to do this, mainly because I feel like that would be really bad for my sleep schedule, but the other reason is that I literally don't think I could. I go to sleep at like 11 most days, like that's like average time I go to sleep. I cannot stay up late to save my life, honestly. It would be kind of fun if I could, but I don't think I'm going to, but never say never. But anyway, I do still have 4 books that I would like to try and read. The first one that I know I can definitely get to is Nettle Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is a book that has been on my radar for quite a while. I think ever since it came out, probably. And I've seen so many people read it. I've seen so many people love it. I'm still on my personal quest to find a T. Kingfisher book that I really love, because I know there's one out there. I know there is. I keep trying, but I feel like this I have a pretty decent chance of liking. It's like a twist on a fairy tale. I don't know what fairy tale. I don't know if it's supposed to be based on a certain fairy tale or not, but yeah, I think we're following kind of like a ragtag group of people, and our main character is trying to save her sister, maybe? We will see. Honestly, I don't really know if this one really fits the like spooky mystery thriller kind of thing that I'm going for, but on the back somebody did say it was frightening. I don't know if it's actually frightening or not, but I'm gonna read this book anyway, and hopefully it'll be great. I mean, the cover of it does look kind of atmospheric, whatever. We'll see. I don't know, but I'm really excited about this one. Then I am planning to finish up a book that I'm currently in the middle of, and that is The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. I am about 70 pages into this one. I started this book in the last vlog that I was filming, which you guys haven't seen yet. It's coming out next week, I think. But I started this book and I didn't finish it, and I kind of just wanted to save it for this little 24-hour readathon because I thought it would be perfect. This book is basically following our main character Adrian, who inherits this very disheveled and dilapidated mansion, and she gets there and things are very weird, basically. I'm really enjoying this one so far, but I think I want to save this for later in my readathon. Like, I want to read it tonight when it's darker outside. I feel like that'd be kind of scary, maybe. I don't know. I don't think this book is like that scary so far, but if I'm reading it at like midnight, maybe I will be kind of scared. And then the comic, I think it's considered a comic that I want to read in this readathon. It's something that I initially never planned on reading just because I haven't heard the best things about this or kind of the series that it's a part of, and that is the Over the Garden Wall comic series. I have read Over the Garden Wall Distillatoria, which is not a part of like the normal comic series, I don't think. And I did love that, but I have not heard great things about this comic series, but I figured maybe I should just give it a try for myself. Obviously, I love Over the Garden Wall. It is one of my favorite TV shows, not just for fall, but in general. And I figured, why deprive myself of more Over the Garden Wall content that could potentially be good just because I heard other people say it wasn't good? So I borrowed the first volume from my library. I'm gonna read it on my iPad, and we'll just kind of see how it is. I thought maybe I could tell you guys how it is too. Tell you if you should pick it up. And then I will probably have time to at least start another book. I don't know if I'll finish another book, but I can probably start one. But I don't exactly know what that other book is gonna be. But I do have 3 books here that I could potentially start. They all kind of have a different vibe to them, so I'm gonna leave a little bit of room for mood reading. When I get to needing to choose this one, we'll kind of just see what I'm feeling at that point in time. But quickly, I will at least show you what I have. I could read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is kind of the one that I'm leaning towards right now, but we'll see. We'll see. I also have Empty Smiles by Catherine Arden. This is a middle grade horror kind of thing. This is the last book in the Small Spaces series, which I really love this series. And then I also do have a little bit of a rom-com situation, and that is Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. This is a recent release, and I think it's between like a cryptid expert and a skeptic. So I feel like this one could also be fun. I mean, the cover looks hilarious, honestly. And it still does kind of fit that like spooky romance-esque thing. I don't know, but these are kind of my 3 options for what I could read later. So yeah, those are all of the books that I could potentially read in this readathon. I am quite excited to get into this. It has been a minute since I've done a 24-hour readathon. I think the last one I did was in April with Cass, which was really fun, but I am so excited to, you know, just dedicate the day to reading to my heart's content. Hopefully I will really enjoy some of these. Anyway, I think that is everything that I have to share with you guys in this intro. I'm going to get started. I've got my water, I've got my book. I think I'm gonna start with Nettle Bone. Also, obviously I've got my Diet Coke. Do not fret, I do still have it. And I'm very excited to get into this one and see what I'm thinking about it. It's currently 9:18. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna start the readathon at either 9:45 or 10, and then obviously I will go until 9:45 or 10 tomorrow. Let's just get into it. I am so excited about this, so I hope you guys are too. So let's get reading. Okay, so I am a couple of hours into my readathon. I've made some progress in Nettle Bone, and then I also took a little chance to update my Hobonichi, because even though we are halfway through September, I never made like the month layout spread for it. So I figured, you know, why not do that while I listen to the audiobook for Nettle Bone for a little bit? And it was nice. But anyway, let's talk about Nettle Bone for a minute, because I've made it up to page 130, so I'm a little bit over halfway through it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I really like the kind of dark, weird, fairy tale-esque thing that it has going on, while it's also kind of poking fun at like a lot of things that typically happen in fairy tales. Like, for example, our main character, I'll tell you a little bit about the plot in a second, but like our main character wants to do this thing, and there is this grave witch who she has gone to for help, and she gives our main character Mara these 3 impossible tasks that she has to fulfill, and then like, you know, the Grave Witch is gonna do whatever she wanted her to do in the first place. And Mara ends up doing like all of these impossible tasks in the span of like, you know, a couple days or something. And the witch is like, oh, I wasn't actually expecting you to do these. That's why I gave you these impossible tasks. And I just thought that was a really like kind of funny subversion of that trope, like that typical kind of fairy tale thing where like you have to do these, you know, 3 things. It takes like forever to actually do them. But you know, Mara's just skilled, I guess. So I just really like that a lot. But as for kind of like the overall plot, I guess, we are following our main character Mara, she is a princess, or kind of like was a princess. She is like a princess still, but she doesn't really partake in typical princess things because she is actually kind of a nun. I don't think she's like actually a nun, but she has been living at a convent for a really long time due to some, you know, court politicking type things. Basically, her family doesn't want her to have an heir before her older sister has an heir. It's like a whole thing that would mess with their alliance that they have with this other country area, whatever it is. So she's gone to live at this convent. However, her older sisters, she has 2 older sisters, have obviously been partaking in like typical princess things. So both of her sisters have kind of gone through the process of being married off for like political advantage, basically. And Mara goes to visit one of her sisters one day, and she finds out some extremely unsavory things that the prince that her sister married has been doing to her sister, and obviously she is outraged. So Mara has gone to the Grave Witch for help with this situation, and they are kind of going on this like quest type thing, and they're kind of, you know, collecting all of the people that they need for this quest, basically. That's kind of where I'm up to now. They've kind of like assembled the group, you know? And I've loved that part so much. There have definitely been some very interesting locations that we have gone into, which is, you know, another reason I love like traveling-esque fantasy stories, because you get to see so many different places, and I always think it's really fun. Like at one point they went to this goblin market and they were meeting some weird characters in that place. Due to some events, our main character Mara has to like sell one of her teeth to get something, basically, and the way that it was describing how one of her teeth was like taken out of her mouth, so weird, but like honestly in the best possible way. That scene very much reminded me of like a fairy tale-esque thing that would happen. Like it's whimsical, but in a really strange way. So I'm really liking the overall kind of tone to this story because it is very whimsical in a strange way, but it is kind of like serious in some points because some awful things are happening to Mara's sister, but I feel like it's kind of balanced out in a respectful way with like some more lighter-hearted moments. I feel like T. Kingfisher's writing isn't like funny necessarily, but it does have those like cheeky, more like humorous moments, which I really like. And I'm just having a really good time with this so far. So definitely going to be jumping back into this one and finishing it up this afternoon. And I also do want to read my comic after I finish this. I'm very intrigued to see how I'm gonna feel about the Over the Garden Wall comics, but I'm excited nonetheless. Also, if you guys noticed the stunning bookmark that I've been using for my book, I did want to remind you that Cass recently dropped a bunch of sword bookmarks on her shop, and you should check them out. I have a bunch of them. She sent them all to me because best friend privileges. I love it. But obviously I want to show them to you because they're stunning and you should go check them out. But I mean, look at all of these. I do have, where's my ghost bookmark? There's another one that's in the Hero of Ages right now, but like, look at all of these. They're so cool. I love this dragon one. It's one of my favorites. So I'll link her shop below. You should go check it out. But I just wanted to remind you that she dropped these recently and you should check them out. But anyways, time to get back to reading. I'm going to finish up Nettle Bone, read my comic, and I will get back to you later. it is later. It is currently 3:34 and I have finished 2 books since the last time I talked to you. So the first one that I finished was obviously Nettle and Bone, and I really continue to enjoy this one. I feel like this book does a really good job at kind of maintaining that fairy tale feeling while fleshing our characters out a little bit more and just making them more interesting. I feel like in a lot of things that are like fairy tale inspired, the characters aren't, like, you don't really feel a lot about them, you know? But I really enjoyed this kind of group of characters that we were following. They were really fun. I feel like they had a really fun dynamic. Also, something I forgot to mention when I was talking about this book earlier was the fact that I really like that this book kind of follows our main character Mara from the time she was really young up until the events that are like transpiring now, because the very beginning of this book is kind of told in 2 separate timelines almost, because you have kind of these flashbacks of Mara as she is growing up and how she has gotten to where she is in life, which is basically a princess that is not a princess, and you kind of realize that she is okay with that and she feels like she has more power and more autonomy because she's not so heavily involved in the court. I just thought it was really interesting how this book kind of emphasized the fact that she feels like she has more power in her life, even though she's not in the position of power that she could be in. But back to things that kind of happened towards the end of this book. I really enjoyed the ending. I felt like it was a very satisfying conclusion to the story, and I really like where our characters kind of left everything off and what they're going to be able to do, because everybody that's kind of in this group, there's like 4 people that were kind of working together to accomplish what Mara wanted to accomplish, and learning little bits and pieces about them over the course of their journey together was really fun. A lot of them do have somewhat dark pasts, but not everything is as it seems, and you kind of get to see that as you learn more about them. I also just really enjoyed the magic that was used in this book because it felt very whimsical, very kind of random at points. It has a very like soft kind of magic system, as you know many fairy tale things do, but I love that, and I feel like it just adds to this sense of kind of magic that this world has, and like seeing some of the things that can happen were really interesting. I also really enjoyed the kind of small bits of, you know, political intrigue that are in this book, because obviously our main character Mara is not involved in the court, but her sister and her mother definitely are. So kind of getting to see how it is for women to be so deeply entrenched in court politics and what they have to do to survive in that kind of environment, I thought was like an interesting thing to throw in here as well. So I just really enjoyed this one. It's probably my favorite T. Kingfisher book that I've read thus far. It's still not like a favorite book or anything, but it was just really fun. It had some, you know, deeper, serious moments, but it also was a fun romp at the same time. So I thought it was a really good kind of blend of, you know, a couple different things. So I had a really good time with this one. And then I also read Over the Garden Wall, the comic, volume 1, and I understand why people do not like the comics. For the first like 30 pages, I didn't understand why people didn't like it, honestly. I was like, this honestly, you know, kind of seems like the show. I get the vibes. It was just following Greg as he was going around the woods, basically doing random things, honestly, but like it's very in line with how the show feels, because that is essentially what the show is too. Obviously they do have like a general overarching thing that they're trying to do, but there are like some random scenes in the show which I like. So the first 30 pages of this comic, I was like, this is good, I like this. But then it left me off on a to be continued, and then it switched to this story about a girl who is still like in the woods. It still felt like it was something that would be in Over the Garden Wall, but it felt kind of like the plot of an episode, like a small snippet that you would get in an episode, but instead it spent like 75 pages talking about this girl who lost her parents to the beast, presumably, and she lives alone in the middle of the woods, and we're kind of seeing her deal with being alone and what that has done to her and her psyche. It wasn't bad, I guess. Like, it was somewhat enjoyable, but it's not what I wanted from an Over the Garden Wall comic. I think if it would have continued to focus on Wirt and Greg, I would have thought it was great, but I enjoy Over the Garden Wall because of Wirt and Greg being the main characters. So when it switched to like 75% of this comic being not about them, even though she is nowhere on the cover of this comic, I was confused and unhappy. But I would consider picking up the second volume of this because honestly, I want to see what's going on in Wirt and Greg's story. Because they were just about to walk into a graveyard, I got very excited. I was like, oh, the spooky vibes are here? And then it switched to this whole other story. And I just kept swiping. I was like, are we gonna go back to Wirt and Greg? No. It just ends with this girl. And like, sorry, but I don't care. To be fair though, I never read the description of this comic, so like I don't know if that's in there and I just should have read the description. Okay, fine. To be fair, it is mentioned in the description, but it seems like it's like a 50-50 thing. It's not. But I also really like how this describes Over the Garden Wall, just like in general, not just the comic. It says, two lost brothers venture across a strange forest and discover incredible and bizarre things on their journey home in a style reminiscent of The Wind in the Willows and Sleepy Hollow. That is an apt description. Honestly, I love it, and those are solid comp titles for Over the Garden Wall. I never even thought about it, but they totally are. You know what? It's my own fault for not reading the description of it. But I digress. Whatever. I will probably read the second one because I did put it on hold at my library. And I do want to see where Wirt and Greg's story goes because I really liked that. And maybe, you know, these stories will converge at some point throughout this comic series. I guess maybe that's what I should assume will happen. I don't know. Basically, I've been talking about this for too long. If you guys have read the Over the Garden Wall comics and you think they get better, you let me know because I would love to know. It's almost 4 o'clock now, so I need to pick my next book. I think I want to save The Haunting of Ashburn House for tonight, so I need to pick one of my other 3 books, but I don't know which one. It's probably not going to be Empty Smiles, although this one is pretty short, and I could, like, for sure finish it tonight, so that would be kind of nice. I don't know. I might save this one, like, for October, though. I feel like these other 2 books kind of fit September a little bit better, because In My Dreams I Hold a Knife is, like, a... Is it Dark Academia? It might be. It's like a dark academia thriller kind of situation. I remember I always used to get the, like, plot summary of this book confused with If We Were Villains. I'm pretty sure in my Dark Academia vlog, I gave, like, somewhat of a plot description for this in the beginning instead of the one for If We Were Villains, so this one has intrigued me. So I'm thinking I'm gonna pick up In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Yeah, okay. Plans have been sorted. I've talked for long enough. Let's get reading. Alright, so it's a bit later. It's currently 7:50-ish, and I do have a couple of things that I want to do. First of all, I got a book. So obviously, I would like to open the book. And I'm very excited about this one because it's a book that I've been going back and forth on whether or not I actually want to buy. Ooh, I'm really gonna need scissors for this, huh? Thankfully, I do just have some sitting on my floor. Very safe, but handy. This is a book that I've just been unsure on whether or not I want to buy. I've looked at it like every time I go into half price, but I've never actually picked it up. And then me and Elaine decided that we wanted it to be our like monthly buddy read thing that me and her personally do. So I figured, why not buy a copy of it? Because it's just so pretty. And that is Evocation by S.T. Gibson. I like the cover of this book. I mean, the spine is absolutely stunning, I must say. But the main reason that I wanted to buy this is because the design under the dust jacket is so beautiful. I mean, literally, look at this. Oh my god. And then also the spine on the actual hardcover is beautiful as well. Like, it's just so good. I love it. Oh, and it has like little candles on the end papers. I'm really excited for this one. I'm quite interested to see what I think of this one because I've seen very mixed reviews of it, but it's just so beautiful. I needed a copy. Also, I love that the dedication is to everyone in search of real magic. It's just so fun. So yes, there's my little book mail that I have. I cannot wait to read this. Where should I put this? I don't know where I should put this. I feel like it doesn't really fit on any of my shelves. There. I don't know, it's just gonna sit there for now. Anyway, it has been a little bit since I updated you, and I have made quite a bit of progress in my dreams I hold a knife. I did go on a little bit of a walk earlier because it feels so nice outside. I'm so happy that it's not like in the 90s anymore. I mean, it's not like cool. It's not even remotely fall weather, but we're getting there, which makes me very excited. And the trees are starting to turn, and I'm so happy. But let us talk about this book, because this book is crazy, honestly. Not crazy in like the, oh my god, so many things are happening way, but like crazy in just the amount of things that you are finding out about these characters. Like, everybody sucks. And I love it. But basically, to give you a little idea as to what the plot of this book is, we are following our main character, Jessica. And this book is kind of taking place in two timelines. The like present day timeline, which is where she is going to a 10-year college reunion. She's kind of meeting up with a bunch of people that obviously were in her class in college. And we find out that when she was in college, one of the friends that was kind of in her friend group was murdered. And it was kind of assumed that it was like one of the friends in the friend group, but there wasn't ever enough evidence to convict them of this murder. However, when all of the people that were in this friend group get to the reunion, the little brother of the girl that was murdered kind of like gets them all together. He has been like looking into this murder for years, and he's like compiled all of his evidence, and he's going around like accusing all of them basically. And we're kind of seeing him as he is, you know, working his way to revealing what exactly he thinks happened. But then, in the other timeline, we are following this friend group as they are in college from the time that they were freshmen up until the time that they graduated, obviously. And we are kind of seeing the lead up to this murder. And I love that format because it really allows the anticipation to build as you're kind of like leading up to one of the characters being murdered. But then there's also this different anticipation that is in like the present day timeline as you are kind of leading up to finding out who murdered this person. And I just feel like it's a really cool way to tell a story. But I've really enjoyed following this group of characters because they definitely have a very kind of messy friendship group dynamic. Because there are a lot of like different relationships that have happened in the group. Like, people are kind of like bouncing around with who they're hooking up with and who they're dating, who they're marrying. There's also a lot of lies and cheating and secrets going on as well. And as you progress through the book, obviously you're finding out more and more about this group of people, and you're like, oh, yikes. And I think kind of a main theme in this book is just seeing the lengths that people will go to achieve success in whatever way they are striving for. A lot of people are looking for success in their careers. Our main character specifically is looking for success, you know, in everything, really. Our main character is very interesting, and I'm definitely very intrigued by all of the things that have happened in her past and how she's kind of acting in the present, because she has been striving, honestly, since day one, for success in her life in any way, whether that be in her career, whether that be in getting people to like her. I thought it was kind of funny because she brought up this experience from when she was in 4th grade, and she was, you know, recounting the fact that, you know, Jessica is such a basic name, and there were like 3 Jessicas in her grade or whatever, and she never felt like she could delineate herself well from them, and she wanted to like stand out from the crowd, you know? And like when I was in 4th grade, I knew at least 3 other Katies. Like, obviously it's a very common name. But you don't see me out here being a potential suspect for a murder case. So I feel like not a great villain origin story, if you ask me. But there have definitely been a lot of other things in her life that have contributed to how she is now, and kind of learning those and watching her story unfold and seeing what it has led to. Intriguing, but also very sad, because there have been a lot of bad things that have happened to her in her life, but they have kind of made her an awful person, really. Like, none of these people are good people, but they are incredibly intriguing to read about, so I don't mind that. Truly, our main character, Jessica, is an awful person, really. Like, even just in small things that she does, I'm like, why would you think that? Like, there are so many instances, especially in, like, throughout college, where she's kind of going through sorority rush, and there are all of these instances where she's like, why did she get picked for Chi Omega? She's ugly. And, like, it makes her sound like a mean person, But also I feel like that is definitely kind of a critique on, you know, like sorority and just Greek life in general. So I think it's a really interesting way to do it, especially using our main character, which is usually somebody that you would want to like. But with Jessica, she's just awful. But everybody's kind of awful in their own way. But I really like that you have been following them from their freshman year of college. So you kind of see like when they meet as a group, everybody is, you know, like young, innocent, they're just getting to college, nothing bad has really happened yet, and then you just see the friendship group devolve into this absolute mess that it was in their senior year of college, and then like the somewhat mess that it still is in the present day. So I'm definitely hooked, and I cannot wait to read the last like 100 or so pages of this book. I'm quite excited to see how everything wraps up. I feel like there are going to be more secrets spilled, which I am very interested to find out. As the book has gone on, the secrets kind of just get darker and darker, so I'm very curious to see what else is gonna come out. So I'm gonna get to reading. I'm very excited. I feel like this is honestly kind of the perfect pick for this readathon because it's like it's a very gripping book, you know? So I'm gonna finish it up and then I will chat to you guys when I've done that. Okay, so it is quite a bit later. It's like 11 o'clock now. Almost exactly, it's 11:03. I'm tired already, which is not good, but I'm gonna try my hardest to stay up late anyway because I do need to start another book because I finished 2 books actually since the last time I talked to you. So, first of all, I did finish up In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and this was just such an interesting book. I feel like it's just a different take on a dark academia kind of story that I really enjoyed. I feel like a lot of dark academia books that I read definitely have this like very pretentious kind of feeling to them, and I do kind of love them for that. Like obviously that's kind of like a hallmark of a lot of dark academia stories, and that's kind of the point, that they're supposed to feel pretentious. But I feel like this book just tackles the dark academia subject matter in a more relatable way for a lot of people, because obviously how many people do you know that have been a part of this like super close-knit, exclusive, like Shakespearean acting community thing? Like obviously I don't know anybody like that. I don't know if you do, but I certainly don't. But I feel like with this one, the characters just feel more real and more like people that you have met in your everyday life. So I feel like the kind of critique that it's making on academia hits a little bit closer to home because you can relate to it a little bit better. But by the same token, I also don't think it goes quite as deep as some of the other dark academia books that I've read into that kind of corruption that is in academia. So I feel like it's just doing something different, which I definitely really enjoyed. I think the kind of obsessiveness that our main character feels towards, you know, achieving academic success so she can like validate her existence basically is probably something a lot of people can relate to in a small way. Obviously not quite to the extent that it like takes over Jessica's life and it becomes like the only thing she thinks about. She's crazy, honestly. Like as a main character, she's a good main character, but she is not a likable main character in the slightest. Like she's so insecure, but so just like, I'm better than everybody at the same time, and it's crazy. I'm like, the duality of this woman is insane. But I really like how it delved into all of the pressures that you tend to put on yourself when you're in an academic institution like that, and also how pressures that are put on you from external sources can like play a huge role in kind of your overall state of being as well. What am I even saying anymore? I feel like I'm just rambling. But our main character's dad definitely played a huge role in Jessica being so obsessed with the idea of success and, you know, going to grad school, going to Harvard, like just being the best that she can possibly be. Like there's this small moment before she goes off to high school, I think, where her parents are talking to her and her dad's like, you gotta be the best. Like now's the time, you gotta start grinding. I'm like, she's going into freshman year of high school, like let's chill. But he's like, this is the time to get ahead. Like you are gonna just like, you know, top of the class, you gotta be the best. And you can tell that her mother is like, maybe just try your best. That's all you can do. And kind of seeing those pressures that can be put on you by your parents and how that has like impacted Jessica for the rest of her life, I think happens to a lot of people, and I really enjoyed kind of seeing how that was explored in this book. I must say though, I don't think it has quite the same oomph as a lot of dark academia books do. It just doesn't feel quite as, like, I don't even know how to explain it, because like it definitely is dark academia in the way that it kind of takes a look at a lot of the things that happen on college campuses and, you know, kind of explores the darker aspects to a lot of those things, which I really liked. But something about it doesn't exactly hit the same mark that other dark academia books do. I don't know, but I still really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all the twists that this book took. I liked how it ended, and I kind of liked the twist that happened at the end. I thought that was like a cool, like, but wait, there's more. So yes, there is, you know, third book down for my readathon. However, I have read another book because I decided to try another Over the Garden Wall comic, because I think there are two series. I'm not 100% sure. Like, they are put in Goodreads as two series, so maybe? I don't exactly know how it worked. But I saw this one, and it seemed to not be a part of, like, the series that I read a comic from earlier. And I was looking at the Goodreads reviews, and I saw somebody say, finally one of these comics gets it right. This has, like, the same magic as the show, or something to that effect. So I was like, all right, I'm putting all of my faith in this single Goodreads review that I read. And it was available from my library, so I checked it out. And it's called Over the Garden Wall Hollow Town. It looks like this. And honestly, I do definitely agree that this was so much better than the other volume that I read today, and it really does feel like it could be a part of the show, you know? Like, it could just be another episode that's thrown in there, because you have Wirt and Greg who kind of stumble upon this town because Greg needs a shoe or something. He also wants to make some fancy clothes for his frog, Mr. I think they call him Sir Hops a lot. Although I thought his name was Jason Funderburger. Funderburger? Whatever his name is. So I'm confused. Maybe he's confused too. I don't know. It doesn't have to make sense. But they stumble upon this town. They notice things are weird. They kind of get entrenched in that society, and they may go a little bit too deep until, you know, like, they rescue and leave. Which is basically the plot of, like, every single episode of the show. So I feel like it was very true to how the show feels. So I like this one a lot. I thought it was really cool. I was also listening to the Over the Garden Wall soundtrack, and it is so good. Like, I haven't been listening to the ones with singing, even though there are a lot of songs on here with singing, but also there are so many songs. It's insane. But the song You Have Beautiful Eyes, so spooky, so perfect for fall. I put it on repeat. It was so good while I was reading this comic. And now I'm very curious to see if, because I think this is part of a series. Because I honestly would consider reading it. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the other series. I don't know if I care enough about that one. I don't know. I might check out the second volume of that one and, like, see what I'm thinking about that, but I think there are more comics in this other series. Maybe this is just its own thing like Distillatoria is, and I think it's just as a series in Goodreads because there are different chapters that were like in this entire thing. Man, it's only 11:15 and I'm so tired. I'm not built for this life. This is when I go to sleep most days. Honestly, I'm already asleep most days by this point in time. I cannot give up now. It's time to start a new book. Well, actually, I'm not starting a new book because I'm going to be continuing The Haunting of Ashburn House. I hesitate to say that I want to finish The Haunting of Ashburn House before I go to sleep. Anyway, I'm rambling. That is something for me to figure out. I will see how motivated I'm feeling. If I had to take a guess, I'm probably not gonna finish it before I go to sleep, but we'll see. I will see you guys tomorrow morning probably, because I just want to, you know, take my makeup off, get cozy, get comfy, and not have to film anything else tonight. So yeah, maybe I'll give you another update if I stay up very late. It's a little bit later. I'm going to sleep soon, but I just wanted it documented. It's currently 2:09 and I'm still awake. Wouldn't say I'm thriving, but I'm awake. But I wanted to give you just the smallest update on The Haunting of Ashburn House because I have been reading it and I have been a little bit scared, I can't lie. I'm on page 184 and the last like 100 or so pages has really been progressing those kind of creepier elements. We're still not exactly sure what's going on, but there are these scenes where our main character Adrian is home alone at night and there's this like thing moving in like the front lawn and it's like switching off the breakers to her house, which first of all, why would you put a breaker panel on the outside of a house? Maybe that's a more common thing with older houses. I have no idea, but it just seems so stupid. But they keep shutting off the power to her house and it's so dark and there's this thing and there are handprints on the windows. I don't like it. But also I feel like Adrian is so stupid sometimes. And I feel like to be a main character in a horror book, you do have to be a little bit stupid. I can't lie, to like make things a little more interesting. But first of all, like one of the first things that Adrian sees when she got to this house was all of this like writing on the walls, and she has seen the phrase "no mirrors" so many places in this house. Like it is everywhere where you would typically find a mirror. It says "no mirrors." So do you know what she does? She puts up mirrors in her house and I'm like, come on, like the one thing you could have not done was put up mirrors in your house. Like I just so stupid. And then also like at night when these like creepy things are happening and there might be somebody outside, she goes outside. She has gone outside multiple times. And like, first of all, actually I don't have multiple things to say. I'm just gonna say that's stupid. Because why would you do that? Like literally, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm just like, girl, stay inside. Like what? Like, even if it's not like a ghost, what if it's like somebody trying to murder her? And there was even a little like thing in this book where she was like, I am not gonna be the person in a horror movie who goes to investigate creepy noises. Literally 3 pages later, she's going outside in the middle of the night to investigate something moving in her front yard. I'm like, what are we doing? But despite the fact that Adrian is acting stupid all the time, although to be fair, she's like 22 or something. Although that's not how I would have been acting at 22 because I would have stayed my ass inside. Like absolutely not. Anyway, I digress. I just can't get over it. Also, reading this book does have me like a little bit scared, a little bit spooked because I have so many mirrors in my room. I have like 2, 3, I have 5. Maybe that makes me sound like a narcissist. I'm not. I just like how they look. It makes the space look bigger, obviously. But like I caught my reflection in the mirror a few minutes ago. I was like, oh, little jump scare. So yeah, I think now's the time to stop. Anyway, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm not gonna finish this book before I go to sleep tonight, but I will finish it up tomorrow morning for sure. I might try and make it to page 200. It's like 15 pages away. And then I will go to sleep. Been so close to going to sleep so many times. So many. But I also feel like it is a little bit easier to try and stay up while you're reading a horror because there are those like scary moments. They really get your blood pumping a bit. And then I'm like, all right, I'm back. I'm good. I'm ready to go. But I'm definitely tired and that can only work for so long. So I'm gonna go read. And then I will see you guys tomorrow morning. I stayed up until about 2 a.m. last night to read. As you guys saw, I gave you such a quality update. So I'm very tired because I woke up today like 7 and 5 hours of sleep is not enough for me, honestly. But I woke up today and I did have time to finish this book before my readathon ended. I think I had about 30 minutes left once I finished this book of my readathon, but I didn't want to read anymore. So I was like, you know what? I will forfeit this last 30 minutes. It's fine. But as for how this book went, I was really, really liking it. Like, there were so many kind of spooky, eerie moments. There were so many creepy visuals that I was, you know, conjuring up in my head. And that was all really fun. But then you kind of get a little bit more information. A few things are introduced around the 300-page mark that I really didn't like. I don't know. It just felt a little bit too convoluted for the story almost. Like, it was just, I don't know, it felt like cliche as well, and I'm not saying that, you know, Darcy Coates needs to reinvent the wheel when it comes to a haunted house story, but I don't know, just something about this kind of twist I didn't love. It just didn't wow me, and I feel like I run into this problem a lot with a bunch of the kind of mystery, thriller, horror kind of books that I read. I really, really love the setup. I really love those moments where a character doesn't know what's going on and you as a reader don't know what's going on. I feel like those are definitely like the most tense, the most high stakes. But then when you get like more information about it, I'm always just disappointed. I'm like, oh, is that what was happening? I don't know if I like that. So I just think that's kind of interesting that this book as well kind of did that. But that's certainly not going to stop me from reading other Darcy Coates books because, as I said, I loved the build-up. Like, you know, the last 30 pages didn't wow me, but the first 300, I was having a pretty good time. And that's like a 9 to, what? 1 to 10? 1 to 10 ratio. But, you know, I loved the majority of this book, so I definitely will be checking out her other books because I just, you know, really like this a lot. I also really love the fact that our main character, Adrian, was so loyal to her cat, Wolfgang. There were a lot of opportunities where she could have just made a break for it and run away, but, you know, like, she has this cat and she cannot leave this cat behind to get who knows what by this thing that has been haunting the property. So she never took that easy out because she was never willing to abandon her cat. And I respect that because I certainly could not either. Like, if I was in this situation with either of my cats, I certainly could not leave them behind. Like, I would risk my own life for theirs. You know, it's what they deserve. So I really liked that. I mean, I really enjoyed Adrienne as a main character. She's definitely, like I said last night, kind of dumb, but, you know, it's kind of in an endearing way. Like, she definitely made she made so many stupid decisions throughout this book. Like, they're just small things, but I'm like, girl, what are you doing? She upset me in some instances, but I still really liked her as a character. So yeah, it was just a really fun kind of haunted house horror book. It wasn't like super scary or anything, but there were some, you know, creepy moments, which I really enjoyed. So there is my last book read for the readathon, and I did end up reading 5 books in this 24-hour period. Granted, 2 of them are comics, but obviously we're counting them anyway. So let me give you a quick, you know, little recap of what I read in this video, and then I'll let you go. I think I read around 800 pages, like, in these books, and I really enjoyed all of these. None of them are, like, favorites, but I feel like they were really good picks for readathons. Like, they were all very kind of fast-paced, interesting, gripping kind of books, so I really enjoyed kind of getting to sit down and read these over the last day. Obviously, first up, I finished Nettle Bone, just a really interesting take on a kind of dark fairy tale retelling. I really enjoyed this. Still not a favorite T. Kingfisher book. One of these days I will find one. Honestly, I really thought it was going to be this one, but alas, I was wrong. I will continue to read them though, because I do really enjoy her books, just none of them are like quite there. But I know, I can feel it, there's one out there, I will find it. Then I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, another really interesting and gripping book. I'm really glad that I finally got to this one because it's obviously a book that I have like seen around for a while. I've always heard it pitched as like a dark academia thriller kind of situation, and I really enjoyed it. And then I finished my 2 Over the Garden Wall comics. The like normal one, not my favorite, but Hollowtown was decent. Like, I would recommend that one. Those are the 5 books that I finished over this 24-hour period. I am tired of reading right now, so I just need a little, you know, 2-3 3-day break maybe, and then I'll get back into it. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've had such a fun time doing it. And yeah, obviously I would love to know down below if you have read any of the books that I read in this video, any of these, or the 2 comics that I read. Honestly, I would love to know what you guys think of the Over the Garden Wall comics if you've read them. Would love to chat about them. But like, if you've read these, we can talk about these too. But with that, I'm gonna let you go. So again, thank you so much for watching. Also, before we go, I would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you are ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. We do some fun stuff over there. But with that, I'm gonna let you go so I can, I don't know, go take a nap or something. I hope you all are having an amazing Monday or whatever day it is that you are watching this video. And I will see you in my next one.